Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's time again for the unfiltered news from the reality zone, where political correctness is not spoken here, compiled by G.Edward Griffin and his News Scouts for this week, June 22nd through the 28th, 2013. Note the different icons for each part of each articles and videos. This is to be kept for future reference. Indicates amazing event is the asterisk. Speaker indicates an audio, and of course the video symbol. Let's get on with news you may have missed in the headlines for this week. Here you go. IRS. Now what? Tea Party member. Yep. After all. Yeah. They're still there. Let's go on now for the news you may have missed. Video. Warning. Graphic video of militants in Syria reported to be members of the Al-Nusra Front brutally beheading two Christians with a small knife. One of the victims is a priest. Al-Nusra is the largest group within the mercenary forces that the Obama administration wants to arm with weapons to topple the Syrian government. Rebels, though, that's what they call them. Press TV, June 28th. Next. And get this lined up. Biotech companies spent over $30 million in 2012 to make sure that Congress didn't pass legislation that would outlaw genetically modified organisms or that would require them to be labeled. Natural News, June 28th. Yes, they don't want you to know that they got human rat poison in the food, that the cheap stuff that the poor and the elderly are buying is killing them. No, of course not. Only the rich people buy the stuff that's more expensive. It doesn't probably have that in it. That's right. You don't know that. Then again, you're not paying attention. Next, video. Oops. A study on guns that was ordered by Obama shows that guns in the hands of law-abiding citizens save lives and prevent crimes. Story leak, June 27th. Man, let's see how they're doing this. Florida. Hobbyist. Homemade drone equipped with a video camera spied on backyard sunbather and came close to snooping in windows of apartment before losing control. News of this event has increased public concern over loss of privacy through drones, especially in the hands of government agencies. InfoWars, June 27th. X. Video. 80% of Americans oppose arming the terrorist-linked rebels in Syria, mercenaries. Yet the Obama administration is preparing to do exactly that. The largest group fighting the Assad government is the Al-Qaeda jihadist group called the Al-Nusra Front. The overthrow of Assad will deliver Syria to Al-Qaeda. Ben Swan, June 27th. Next. European bankers are setting rule for future bank bailouts. The new rules will follow the Cyprus model, which means banks will recover their losses, not from taxpayers in the form of government bailouts, but from confiscation of depositors, funds, and stockholders' assets. This new model for plunder is called bail-in. Instead of bail-out, it's bail-in. People who leave their savings in banks now are at great risk. New Europe, June 26. The only reason why you should get your money out of the main banks and put it in credit unions. Credit unions are more creditable than these bankster banks. The name brands. BOA. And the rest of them. What's in your wallet? The Citizens Bank. What's in your wallet? We want it in ours. is the real meaning of that. Next, U.S. lawmakers introduce a bill into both houses of Congress requiring congressional authorization for any future military action, including the arming of rebel forces in Syria. Mercenaries, true. A poll showed that 84% of Americans are against arming the mercenaries who have committed heinous war crimes and are linked to jihad terrorists. There are many in Congress, however, who will oppose this legislation, and it's not expected to win wide support. The New American June 26. And they're not. I mean, you just look at these arming, they're calling them rebels. If they're rebels, why are they killing their own people in Syria and Christians and Syrians? Yeah, right. These are mercenaries. Plain and simple, outsiders playing the role of it. Why do you think they wear masks? It's not to protect their identity. No, it's to protect that they're not actually Syrians fighting these wars against the Syrian government. That's exactly what it is. If you seen their real faces, they wouldn't even look Syrian. Anywho, video. Russian President Putin says the NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden is in Russia. He says that Snowden is a transient passenger in a special zone of Moscow airport, and as long as he is there, he is not technically visiting Russia. Therefore, he is ineligible for extradition to the U.S. This is a ruse. If Putin wanted to extradite Snowden, it would be done in a heartbeat. But the communist regime views the exposure of NSA spying on American citizens as fortuitous distraction from similar activities in Russia. Because they've been doing it in Russia for a long time. RT, June 25th. Anywho. Secret recordings of Irish bankers reveal their bailout strategy for the Anglo-Irish Bank in 2008. They hide losses, lied about the size of bailouts they required, mocked the Germans over the influx of German capital they were getting. The recordings revealed that bankers think, act, and even talk like common criminals, banksters, which they are. UK Guardian, June 25th. See? They're banksters. They're gangsters that own banks. That's what now it comes down to in simple language. Los Angeles schools are training students to sell Obamacare to their parents. Well, they do all types of things. They tell the kids to write down what their parents do on their off time. Do they have guns? Do they do this and do that? They're using the kids as Stasi spies, is what they're doing. InfoWars, June 25th. Next, video. U.S. When Dr. Oz exposed the health hazards of silver mercury dental fillings on his TV show, the American Dental Association withdrew support from his consumer adversary website. Oh my golly. In spite of the fact that mercury is one of the most toxic substances known, and mounting evidence that mercury fillings are the cause of many serious health conditions, the ADA continues to claim that these fillings are safe. Could that be because the ADA hosts patents on mercury amalgams? I got them in my teeth, that's why I'm half crazy. I'm half Mad Hatter because of mercury fillings. Macola, June 25th. What do you think made the Mad Hatter in Alice in Wonderland? Because it was known during the time when that was written that they used mercury to do firming of the hats, and these guys would be handling this stuff all the time, and it would eventually soak in, and they'd go mad. Mad Hatters. The Mad Hatter. Next, GMO companies plan to introduce a species of cabbage that is crossed with scorpion DNA. Yum yum, scorpion DNA. Why don't we just fry up scorpions and eat them as a delicacy? So its poison will kill caterpillars who try to eat it. Don't worry, the company says it's perfectly safe for humans. It actually has been tested on humans? Well, no. Gaia Health, June 25th. This is nuts. Let's put scorpion DNA in cabbage and sell it to the humans out there, the human rats. Oh, they're nuts. I'm telling you, they're nuttier than the Mad Hatter. Oh man, they're all taking their own SSRIs or something. And Sarah Rehab uptakes and wondering why they're nuts and wanting to kill the human race. Anyways, next, U.S. IRS is under fire after a $500 million contract was awarded to an insider friend of the IRS employee in charge of contract awards. To make matters worse, the contractor claimed special consideration on the false claim that he was disabled veteran. The disability actually was due to an foot injury. This is the same agency that will administer Obamacare? The IRS in control of Obamacare. Unbelievable. Can't believe they'd give that to the Infernal Revenue Service. The Hill, June 25th. Yeah, those guys are a bunch of crooks. They make crooks look like non-crooks. Next. Video. U.S. Another NSA whistleblower, Russell Tice, says that for over a decade, the NSA has been wiretapping phone calls and reading emails of most high-ranking government officials. That's why you can't get nothing done when you go to your congressmen and senators, because they're all been spied on, and all their secrets and secret affairs and drug users and anything else they can come up with, money laundering scandals and taking bribes, is all recorded by the NSA. The list includes congressmen, senators, State Department personnel, military generals. Well, you think Petraeus was found out? NSA. Supreme Court justices. Well, you think the Supreme Court is voting totally with the White House system of destroying America with abomination. And even Barack Obama, when he was a senator, yeah, they even had him under watch. Yet now he's an inside player with them. They allowed him to spend $2 million to keep them quiet on his skeletons in the closet. There is no credible justification for this except to obtain information that can be used to blackmail government personnel into serving their hidden masters. General Colin Powell and General Petraeus were among those whose phone calls were monitored. Another NSA whistleblower, William Binney, says that information about the Petraeus sex scandal that led to his resignation was obtained from this spy program. Didn't you know? The mainstream media is ignoring these additional whistleblowers. The Covert Report, June 24th, and they are. This is how our government is not doing what it's supposed to be doing. People higher up has hired the NSA to get the dirt on them. They need to be all. This is called the reset button. We need to fire them all and put new blood in there that has no skeletons in their closet, and would fix this just about overnight type saying. I mean, it's just, we got too many people bought out, owned by lobbies, owned by the NSA database, who are blackmailed by higher ups and corporate governments and stuff, a part of the corporate government. That's why we're in a fascism state, and this is what's coming down. And they're trying to do it to everyone. Welcome to Nazi Germany during the Stasi era. Oh, man. Next. Monster Santo, or is it Monsanton, or is it just Monsanto, claims that GMO wheat found growing on a farm in Oregon must have been planted there by an eco-terrorist saboteur to tarnish the company's name. No, it got there because there was normal wheat there, and the pollen got to it and changed it over. That's what it is. The company also says that its entire supply of wheat seeds were destroyed 5 years ago. In that case, where did the so-called eco-terrorists obtain the seeds planted in Oregon? Take part June 24th. I'm telling you, we're being hoodwinked and lied to constantly. The mainstream media has even been blackmailed. That's why they do what they're told to do. Or else. That's what it's coming down to. Next, Iraq War veteran Daniel Summers committed suicide after suffering from the PTSD and being overcome with guilt for his part in what he calls war crimes in Iraq. After reading his heart-wrenching suicide note, you will understand why 22 military veterans kill themselves every day. InfoWars, June 24th. And that's what they're doing over there. That's why we're having more deaths from suicides than killed by the enemy. So-called enemies over there. These people are just... And they're handing out the SSRIs like candy over there. And so just think of what effects that's having. I mean, most of them, like Prozac and stuff, actually say this may cause suicidal tendencies. Imagine what's going on with them. And then when they get back here at home, they get cut off from their supply, and that just totally makes their mind snap. And that's the end of them. Oh, man. Horrible, isn't it? Next, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled on Monday that generic drug makers cannot be sued under state law for adverse reactions to their products. The basis for this decision is the assumption that if drugs are approved by the Food of Death Administration, they do not cause harm to patients, no matter how much evidence there is to the contrary. The FDA says they are safe. It makes no difference how many people they maim or kill. Legally, they're safe, legally, because the government says so. The Supreme said so. It's the same thing it said about Monsanto. You can't sue Monsanto if it's proven that their genetically engineered food is killing you or your family, and you try to go and collect a suit against them. They're above the law in that respect. Reuters, June 24th. This is just insanity how we are being eugenicized. And just basically population reduction is in progress. Kind of like part of Agenda 21. And if you're not seeing that, you're not paying attention. I'm telling you. You gotta start paying attention more. Next, U.S. Department of Homeland Security no longer conducts criminal background checks on immigrants. Amazing. But they'll do it on you. The excuse is that they are overwhelmed by the increase in amnesty applications that follow President Obama's executive order issued last summer. Since a high percentage of illegal immigrants now receiving amnesty have criminal backgrounds, we suspect that abandonment of background checks is more related to a desire to give citizenship to these criminals than to being overwhelmed with paperwork. The goal always has been to weaken America's cultural unity. Yeah, multiculturalism is a danger to the entire planet. Ask Sweden, with all the Muslims going up there and raping all the nice blonde-haired, blue-eyed Swedes. Oh, just do a Google on Swedish women being raped by foreigners or immigrants under multiculturalism. These people are coming in here under multiculturalism, and what it is, they're not adapting to the country's culture. They're bringing their own culture and ways in and overpowering the actual natural culture of that country, destroying the country and its culture. This is what's going on. A weaker America is easier to integrate into the new world order, where the whole world will be one big mess of many cultures with no one culture, and there will be pockets of it everywhere. It's just not right. There's got to be an order to countries like Sweden, Norway, Europe in general, and America. We have culture. You could be any culture, And you could celebrate your little culture that you had, but you had to adapt to not changing the culture of the country. Multiculturalism is a failure and a danger to the world. HSN, June 23rd. That's just my opinion and comment. Next, video. Department of Defense official reveals that late model vehicles can be hacked and controlled remotely through their built-in computer systems, smartphone technology, and stereo systems. That includes remote control of speed, braking, and steering. This information will be found in the first 3 minutes of the video. The rest is technical information. InfoWars, June 22nd. Think about Hessings, who was just killed, the reporter. Yes, they said that his car just seemed to speed up on its own, and it was like, and then it burst into flames like it had an explosive upon it. And you know, you've seen the movies where they show them just put a little explosive with an antenna on it, and a detonator, radio-controlled detonator. And who knows what the controls in that is. The technology is there to override the car's computer. That's why I like buying something back in the early 80s before they start putting these computers in the cars. In the 70s. They were simple to work on. You didn't have to take it to a technician at a service center to have your car checked. Anyways, a story to be kept for future reference. A new study from Brazil directly links 7,000 cases of cancer to radiation emissions from cell phone towers. 80% of those with certain types of cancer live within a third of a mile from a cell phone tower. Natural News, June 22nd. Yeah, they're giving off this radiation. I mean, even Jesse Ventura in Conspiracy Theory did one on these people who lived near these towers. And they were feeling electrical charges going through them, headaches, just many nausea, just all types of things, just being near these towers. It's not a good thing when you have several watts of energy passing through you constantly. Next, video. California, El Dorado County Sheriff John D. Agostina is pulling police power from the federal U.S. Forest Service in the enforcement of state laws within his county. Sheriffs can do this because the feds have no constitutional authority to administer state or county laws. CBS 13 posted June 22nd. And there you go. The sheriffs are actually the power over a county. They can kick the feds out. They actually have the power to kick the feds out. If a federal agent comes in there, any of the alphabets, he has power over them because that's the sheriff, you know. He's a sheriff of the county. And he has that power. And they haven't taken it away yet in most of the states. I think they're trying to take it away in Upper New York, places of that nature where we have a bunch of communists or collectivists working. Anyways, U.S. government employees are being forced to spy on each other in an attempt to crack down on whistleblowing. That's right, you can't tell about the crimes of your government. Hell, you're supposed to keep that secret. They're criminals, you know. Those who fail to report on their fellow employees can be heavily fined and prosecuted on criminal charges. Press TV, June 22nd. See, but they're spying to crack down on whistleblowing. You know, if your fellow employee is going, I'm going to have to tell about the boss and what he's doing out there, and then he has to tell on what? That's just insanity. Whistleblowing is anti-whistleblowing is an insanity. That's how you keep balance. That's what the news is supposed to do. You know, what they call it, the fourth estate. The news is supposed to be there to keep an eye on the government for doing such things and whistleblow on them when they find out they're doing criminal activity and report it to the public, who is the government. The government's not the government. They're servants. I don't know where this government is above the people. It's the people above the government, and then God above the people. That's how the state of the United States or America was made, not the other way around. I don't know where they somehow twisted and turned everything. Up is down, forward is backwards, so on. They have done this to our country, and we got to take it back and say that we are the ones who are the government, and you people that are in office are our servants. Anywho, video. Australia's Bureau of Statistics is threatening people with fines and imprisonment if they refuse to answer intimate questions about their sex lives and when they will be home alone. InfoWars, June 22nd. Australia's Bureau of Statistics. That was a criminal country at one time. That's where England sent all their criminals. Don't you know? Apparently they have moved up and taken over Australia. Video. Next. Washington State. The Hanford nuclear plant is back in the news. A primary storage tank is leaking, and radioactive waste is seeping into the ground. No one knows what to do about it. And at present, political officials and contractors are tossing the ball back and forth. Hot potato, hot potato. It appears that even the Department of Energy is hiding money and delaying cleanup efforts. King 5, June 22nd. See? Criminal activity still going on. We got to start reeling in these criminals and make it known that criminals are not welcomed in the United States to be rulers and running things. Analysis for this week. This is reports and commentaries that look beyond the news to identify historical facts and trends that must be understood, to place news into perspective. This is our think tank section that makes it possible to anticipate future events. And starting off is U.S. Since 1949, federal regulations have stunted the growth of America's standard of living by a whopping 75%. The cost to comply with the government's 10,000 commandments reached $1.8 trillion in 2012. If regulations have remained at the same level as in 1949, the monthly income for the average household today would be $27,500 a month instead of $4,400 that it is currently. That's the price of collectivism. Look it up. Look up the term collectivism. You'll find out that's what we're under. New America, June 27th. Amazing. We'd all be making $27,500 a month today. Video. Next. This inspiring live presentation examines how controllers in charge of the mainstream media and political parties discourage people from striving to be leaders or engaging in any action that might bring them reform. TED Talks. Good programs. It has lots of good programs on there. June 27th. Next. Gold prices have fallen to an almost unbelievably low point because of manipulation on the part of mega banks. The strategy appears to be as follows. 1. Bullion banks sell gold for future delivery that they do not possess. This is called paper gold. 2. Most people are not aware that the paper gold is not gold but merely a bet between buyers and sellers on what the price will be on a certain date, so they respond to the illusion of selling real gold by driving down the price. 3. Meanwhile, the same banks that sold the paper gold use the money they receive from that sale to quietly buy up as much real gold as they can at the artificially depressed price and take physical possession of it. Next one should have been 4. The final move is to allow or encourage the price to skyrocket to where it should have been all along and even beyond. The rise in price will allow them to pay off their delivery contracts. They are pegged at the currently depressed price and walk away with huge profits. King World News, June 26th. See? This is how they're doing it. That's why gold is at, I think, $1,200 now. And silver's at $18.50. I mean, it's time to buy up. If you can find silver, it's time to buy up as much as you can. The poor man's gold is silver. And buy up as much as you can. Because when this all comes to an end and everything breaks, gold's going to be $5,000 an ounce. And silver's going to be $500 an ounce. So if you buy at $18, you're going to be buku rich if you have a couple of hundred ounces. And that's how it goes. Next, video. Los Angeles. Rolling Stones journalist Michael Hastings died under strange circumstances when his Mercedes hit a tree and burst into flames. Hours before his death, he sent an email warning colleagues that the feds, the alphabets, were interviewing him and people close to him. He also said that he was working on a really big story relating to the NSA and would have to go under the radar for a while. At this point, there are more questions than answers. TYT, June 24th. Apparently the NSA was listening in on those calls using their spy technology and went after him instantly. Booby-trapped his car or overcame his computer, one or the other, or both, and took him out. And he may have had all that paperwork with him, all the story that he was writing, and it went up with the car, which seemed to have been totally consumed. No evidence to be found. Next and last article for this week, or really a video. Brazil's government is trying to appease the protesters in face of upcoming elections. Massive demonstrations began after the government raised public transportation fares while spending billions to host the World Cup soccer games. The poverty-stricken people also are unhappy with the healthcare and educational systems. Russia Today, June 22nd. And that's the news that you may have missed over the last week. Now it's time for the cool-down period from being fed up and upset with them. Here is the great photos of this week. Ancient Cambodian temple subscribes to time. Wow, trees grew over parts of it. Wow. Amazing. Looks almost fairy tale-ish and weird like that. Anywho, now the humor of this week, you get to see all the, like I call them knock-knock jokes, but they're not knock-knock, they're just jokes. And then you have the unfiltered form that comes up. Gag answers questions about money and the New World Order. And don't forget the Federal Reserve and disclosure. A disclosure by G.Edward Griffin, the man who runs this newsletter and writes many great books. And what about script as money? Talks about that. You'll be very educated and informed. Then you have your Reality Zone Classifieds, but you can check that out. I'll have the link to this newsletter. And I hope you all have a wonderful, happy weekend. And a wonderful next Thursday for 4th of July. And this will be the last of the newsletters for June. And then the next one will be, well, let's see. I guess it will be, July 5th? Because I think it's Thursday is the 4th. So July 5th will be the next newsletter put out and compiled by G.Edward Griffin. Until next time, be good at it. Like I said, have a wonderful weekend. Hope it's not too wet where you're at. Seems to be a lot of rain in the Central Ohio Valley. Seems like it's going to clear up probably next week. Most people are having wonderful outdoor activities going on. Until then, later.